So it would seem that there's actually news out of Libya for the first time seemingly since 2011. Some of you may recall that NATO decided to depose Muammar Gaddafi, who was the dictator there for like 42 years, back in 2011 after the Arab Spring, which didn't really take him out directly. They kind of had to give him a good push. And of course, he was then later sodomized to death in the streets. And since then, there has been no government controlling all of Libya. Now, of course, they didn't decide, oh, let's just peacefully divide up the country and rule ourselves with local governments, which probably would have been the good peaceful solution. No, there have been nothing but competing warlords since then, fighting each other and trying to eventually control the whole country and, monopolize power. And it looks like that finally may occur now, because the most powerful warlord, Khalifa Haftar, who apparently during the Gaddafi era was exiled in the United States and was believed for a time to be a CIA asset, is now ready to march on Tripoli and take out the government that's based there. Now, I'm not particularly familiar with all the different factions, but I'm pretty sure that the two main ones are the government in Tripoli and Khalifa Haftar's government at this point. I know that there were others in the past, and of course ISIS and and local militias. Now, this surprising dominance seems to have rattled Khalifa Haftar's benefactors in the UAE, Russia, France, and Egypt. Apparently, they wanted to help Haftar, but not help him so much to where he could actually win the war and bring about, I wouldn't call it peace, but some sort of stable resolution to the Libyan conflict. They seem to favor Haftar trying to negotiate with the government in Tripoli and organize some kind of power-sharing thing where the two parties merge and then they have free elections. Haftar, however, is understandably not interested in this because he's much stronger than the other faction, so he doesn't see why he should have to compromise with them. Haftar wants to become the new dictator in Libya, which, understandably, it's hard to tell him no on that, considering he's done all the work in trying to, dominate the country and become, a new dictator. So if he's already done all the work, you can't exactly tell him, okay, now we're going to have elections. And of course, if you had elections, they'd probably elect the wrong people, and then Haftar would have to stage a military coup anyway. So what's the point? You'd think that the Western powers, it's broader than the West now. It's Russia, France, Egypt, and the UAE, and I don't know if the U.S. is still involved at all, but you'd think that all these countries will have learned that, hey, Libya was, pretty quiet for 42 years under Gaddafi, and then we got rid of Gaddafi, and it's been hell on earth for 7 or 8 years now. They have open-air slave trades. They literally have blacks in shackles standing on milk crates that they get auctioned off at the port and then shipped out to wherever the hell they go. Okay, so we've had that. So perhaps if we put back in another strongman dictator, that won't happen anymore. This commitment to imposing democracy on the entire world and parts of the world that have never been democratic, and it's just, again, it's not like I like dictators, but it's just asinine to try and turn Libya into, France or Germany. What you would really need in order for that to happen would be a serious social revolution that would have to be imposed by probably an occupying army. That's how it happened in the democratization of Germany and Japan. But understandably, nobody cares that much about Libya to want to occupy it for that long and handle all that. So they should just let this Haftar guy clean up the country and, impose order in however he sees fit. Because whatever he does is going to be better than the status quo right now, because the status quo is open-air slave trades and, ISIS blowing up buildings. So as Zero Hedge puts it, we're looking essentially at Gaddafi 2.0 here, which, again, could be a lot worse. It could be what we've had over the last 8 years. And additionally, it could be Muslim Brotherhood types or Salafis. There's many other bad options than a military dictator. In this case, I'm pretty certain that Haftar, while not a good option, is the best bad option, and the West should not, Russia, China, or Russia, France, Egypt, UAE, U.S., whoever else is involved, should not really be trying to stop him at this point. as far as their own interests are concerned. I mean, as far as the interests of ordinary people in Libya, well, nobody cares about them, obviously. They've never really been a concern for anyone. But I'm saying, from the perspective of these states who are intervening in Libya, they really should want this guy in, because he's going to be the most stable bet. So if you gained anything of value from this video, please do click that like button and hit subscribe for more. I do upload every day, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you all tomorrow.